Hi guys, I guess after the last couple of days, it's probably worth doing another little update. Obviously, I've done a little bit for the subscribers. We've had a few new subscribers with the lifetime offer that we just launched. So I thought, in terms of the kind of general public, I wanted to give just an update to kind of show, I guess, where we've been and I suppose just highlight again in terms of where I think we are in the kind of grand scheme of things. So, I guess for me, right, nothing again has really changed. And I keep saying this kind of over and over again. I'm starting to sound a bit like a broken record. I think nothing's really changed for me in the last year or so. Okay. So I'm just going to flick back through some of these. Now, obviously, back in February, this was the third update of the roadmap, right? This roadmap goes back in March last year. Okay, so see this 26th of March 2021, right? I explained where we were, the 3, the 4 for the 5, giving us the monthly 3, down then for the 4 and up for the 5. Okay, now I've gone obviously a little bit more into detail in terms of the update itself. This was March the 18th, so a couple of days before. You could see the core was actually looking for the distribution schematic on a white cloth. I think it was the number 1 schematic for this one, but obviously back last year. But what I posted then, as we started to find the bottom down at E, was talking about where we would go from here. Okay, so you can see in the left hand corner at the top, the 24th of August 2021. I've made a point of explaining why we were at that monthly 3 that I've just shown, where we would likely go to next, right? And then ultimately where we would get to on the move back down. Okay, so this at the time was actually the weekly 3, down for the weekly 4, right? I explained here up to 65k. You know, I guess on the rocket call, I know we were 2.5k over the estimated level. Now, a lot of that is hype, a lot of that is social media. 2.5k is nothing in terms of a Bitcoin move. But ultimately, that 2.5k, what was really interesting for me was the fact that you could kind of pull it from that 2.5k up, meant that the drop down from the 0 to the A was actually 2.5k higher than anticipated. But what was actually really interesting again was the fact that the value area remained the same. Okay, so what we saw from August through to now was basically this move back down 4 and then basically pushing up for the 65k. 65k become the 69k, which was the all-time high, and then we anticipated coming back down to 40k very quick, right? Now the 40k was basically the anticipation for the A leg of the move, right? Now we've come obviously quite a bit deeper than that. Okay, so if you look at where we've been, we were talking about this back in August, the 24th of August. Look, right, this was the move here, 24th of August. Move on down. Okay, just go back to the image. This was the move on down, 3 to 4. Up for 5. Anticipation of a 65k move. We actually had that and rejected, and then moved on up and rejected again, right? This was just a fake out. So seeing a very small, ugly 1, terrible 2, 3, 4, 5. This giving us the monthly 3. Okay. Now, I've been asked loads of times about, is this the 5? And therefore we've had an A, B move in here, giving us that extended flat. We could see that then coming all the way down here. Yeah, of course, this could have easily been the A. This could have been the B. And we're now in the C stage, right? That is definitely an option. I think personally, I didn't like a couple of the moves inside this move. And therefore, I wasn't really keen on this being the A and the A being the end. Okay, so I've said over the last couple of streams, I've said for the last couple of months, I don't feel that A is in, right? I need kind of convincing that that is actually the case, right? I'm not really a believer at the moment. We there have a invalidation level, right? Over here, we have the invalidation level of the first move, right? I think actually it was down lower than this. We had this one there, right? So this kind of region would give us an invalidation of the move on a monthly time frame, right? Now, obviously, given what's happening with COVID, what's happened with Trump and Biden, what happened with Brexit, what we've had, especially with the Ukraine war recently, there's a lot of news that kind of fits the problems rather than new problems, I guess, coming up that is actually driving this. A lot of the news is already priced in. Okay. So if we look at where we are in the grand scheme of things, right, there's a couple of options that I feel that we still have on the table, right? So option one, right, I'm not saying these in any kind of preferred methodology, right? There's no preference, I guess, right now in terms of the situation. The first situation we have is that this was the five. We have one, two, all the way down three, giving us an A, B, and we're now in that C phase. Okay. Now, I assumed that we would have some kind of an accumulation sitting in here, smaller time frame, that would actually give us an A to B move and then come back down for a C test before we get a new high. Okay, that was really where I was thinking this would become some kind of spring, right? Now, the beauty of trading Wyckoff and Elliott combined is that you don't rush into any of these kinds of trades. Okay, so the assumption was there that we were in this accumulation pattern. Don't like it. I think now we've broken to the downside. There's one other probability that I guess I still like even more. Okay. Now, like I said, this is definitely an option, definitely on the table. But the one I actually like a little bit more looks a bit like this. Let me get rid of some of these. Okay. So I'll just mark them up, right, as an a B, and C potentially, right? And that would give us now a move up, right? If that is the situation. Like I said, personally, I don't like it, right? So now we're going to come into the next part of the situation. Let's see if I can change this to a different color. Now, the one I actually prefer is A, wherever we end here, a very impulsive B, coming back, potentially taking liquidity in and around these regions, right? At this particular point, seeing A, B, and the C actually only giving us a 618 of the AB move as a whole, and then the move up. Okay, so these are the options that I'm liking at the moment, right? I think I prefer the second, the blue scenario, more than I do the yellow. We're very, very close, obviously, to this invalidation level. If I'm honest, I would have liked to have seen the 25, 26K region getting a very small spring in this area, right? Let me just change that color again, put that to pink. I would have liked to have seen the spring in this area coming up for the B, and the C coming back down to this kind of region with what I've regarded as the evil wick before we go on up. Okay, so they're the three scenarios. The pink one for me has just been invalidated. We didn't get the spring that I would have liked, and therefore I think we still either at the yellow scenario, or my personal preference is ultimately the blue. Okay, so they're the three main scenarios, right? What I'll do is I'll take a snapshot of these. I'll just copy the chart image, right? And I'll post this somewhere later into the Discord group. So coming back to where we were with the update, right? We've hit the levels, right? The levels have been very respectful. So over the last year, 18 months, it's becoming more and more institutionalized, as I've kind of harped on about over that period. This is the one image for me that really stands out, right? The leverage fund situation is still showing, it might change by Friday, but it's still showing a hell of a lot of shorts on the table, okay? Which would suggest that this pain is not done with yet. It also means that it doesn't necessarily have to be that we're just going to carry on coming down. We're going to get a 10,000 or a 9,000 or an 8,000 Bitcoin. I think ultimately we're still capable of bouncing from these current levels up to an impulsive B that will sucker more retail in, and then coming back down for a C that in essence will end up being truncated 618 of that AB move, confusing the hell of everybody, waiting for the double bottom to play itself out. Okay, so I think for me, this is where we are at the moment, right? Nothing's really changed, like I said, in the grand scheme of things. Going back to October last year, like you can see, I was talking about this move, right? Why we would actually drop down from the levels that we were talking about there. This was distribution, right? Loads of people said to me, nah, reaccumulation, this, and this. 63K, guys, down to where we are. This to me looks more like the distribution than reaccumulation in this particular point, right? And this, like I said, goes back to October last year. Then what we have, let's get this one. Then what we have was after that one. This goes back to the first update in March. I've just tweaked a little bit to this. So the first update in March 2021 was basically showing why we're likely to see the kinds of levels we would get for the 5. Okay, so 0, 1, 2. I didn't like the 1. I didn't like the 2. But the 3 actually hit the 2618 to perfection. Okay, so at that point, it was kind of too good of a situation to miss. However, the one thing with this particular move was the risk reward was pretty terrible in terms of the confirmation for this trade. Entry would have been in and around the 40K. I was already talking about 65K being the absolute max for me in terms of where this is going. And the invalidation was all the way down around this 19,800, right? So you're basically looking at a 1-to-1 type of risk reward trade. And that was the main reason I didn't like that one in terms of the bigger move, right? A lot of people said, oh, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, Bitcoin at 28K. Guys, I said then, I'm going to say it again. I knew it wasn't a once in a lifetime opportunity. We're coming back to the same situation due to the value areas, right? We've now started to change the character around this value area, right? And that's where the COT is going to come in. Now, obviously, this is the kind of information we're going to go into a little bit more depth with the subscribers. So I'm going to finish this now as we are in terms of the public stream. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you didn't get caught out on this move, and we'll obviously update you as and when the next little thing of interest happens. So, enjoy your week. Thanks for watching, guys.